Hey everybody, it's Ryan with Z Strength here. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about dynamic resistance. So this is going to be applied specifically to the sport of powerlifting, but it can obviously be utilized in a number of other specialties. So dynamic resistance, for those familiar with the conjugate method, is kind of the 50% of why the conjugate method works. And dynamic resistance can encompass a lot of different factors, from band tension to chains to weight releases to plyometrics. There's a very large amount of things encompassing what is considered dynamic resistance in regards to a conjugate method in the sport of powerlifting, and also attributed to or can be applied to strength conditioning and other areas such as that. So with dynamic resistance, and the thing to understand with dynamic resistance is a lot of times this is utilized in speed and strength. Speed, power, explosive power. So the weights are not going to be maximal unless you're utilizing it on a max effort day. So when you're looking at dynamic resistance, for instance, on a standard dynamic day, you may only be utilizing 45% of the bar weight and 15 to 25% of the band tension. And these percents are based off of the 1 RM. So your percents of 1 RM is how you're getting these numbers. And typically this percentage is the resistance at the top of the motion where there's the highest amount of band tension. So that's also something to pay attention to. And you may have to utilize different bands or different setups in order to accomplish that. It may not be the same setup and as straightforward as it would be. The idea is to, if you're utilizing, 3 reps, you want those reps to be done explosively, but with control. So when you're getting underneath the bar, whether it's a squat, bench, deadlift, you're going to be setting up just like it's a maximal attempt. You're going to be locking in, you're going to be getting that structural stability that you normally would on a max effort. You're going to be setting up the same, and then once you get that bar out and you brace, then it's boom, boom, boom. And it's 3 quick, explosive movements. And it doesn't matter if you have more in the tank. It's about getting 3 solid, explosive, well-executed repetitions in with the banded weight. That will then transfer to a maximal attempt, and in a lot of different ways that can be discussed in other videos or down the line. But it's important to note, just because this is easy, just because you could do it all day, doesn't matter. It's developing the speed, it's developing the explosive power that you wouldn't get with a maximal effort. The other thing about band tension and why this works is because the band tension is going to be, so if you have bar weight plus bands, that's going to be greater than the speed of gravity, because the bands are going to be pulling that weight down, where if you had just bar weight, that's only going to be able to fall at the speed of that gravity would allow it to fall. So that's going to help create that explosiveness. You're going to have preloading and a multitude of other factors that are going to go into that. The other thing that's great about it is if my range of motion is here, so now I have my top, my bottom, and then I'm going to have, this is going to be my concentric, my eccentric. Now, with a band, that weight's going to be heaviest here and lightest. And there's other ways to set up. So there's future method, which is reversal bands and other things that would not correlate to this. This is just in regards to a standard bottom loaded band setup. So again, future method is something totally different that I don't want to confuse everybody with discussing. I know it exists. I know the importance of it. But this is just standard band setup. So when you're doing that, so you got lightest to heaviest, and so for instance, if with band tension alone, if you have 100 pounds here and you have 50 pounds here, depending on the range of motion, we'll say the range of motion is we'll say, this is going to kill me. For simple massing, we'll say 5 inches. Okay, so that means every inch equals 10 pounds added or subtracted, it doesn't matter. For the simplistic sake of it, you know, every 1 inch of movement, you're adding 10 pounds of band tension to the barbell, or subtracting. If you're moving eccentrically, you're reducing that weight by 10 pounds as the bar moves down. When you're moving concentrically, whether that's getting up from a squat or pushing off a bench, you know, in a 5 inch range of motion, you're looking at adding 10 pounds. And then as your band tension increases, that number would then increase. So the good thing about this is if you're at the lightest, you can explode out of the hole. So, right, I'm at the bottom and I'm going to explode out of the hole. But say I have a weak point here. If I can get that inertia out of the bottom, I can get through the weak point and catch back up right here to finish the lift. And the more explosive power I get, because my muscles at this point are only allowing me to move that much weight concentrically in certain areas for a certain period of time. If I can get enough explosion out of the bottom to get through that sticking point and then catch back up to where my muscle groups develop to finish the lift. That's going to be one big benefit of banded resistance and dynamic resistance in a whole, where you're not going to get that with straight weight. There's other things that are going to factor into this, like you know, working on weak muscles and isometrics, and stuff like that. But this is the purpose of the explosive power, is to help get through those sticking points where you wouldn't be able to practice that as much with the chains. And you can see in some of my videos where you can see this taking effect, where I'm coming out of the bottom of a lift and I'm trying to get that power, and I get really stuck at that sticking point, but because I had the inertia, I was able to get through the sticking point to complete the lift. And as you develop, that weak point will then shift or differentiate or move to a different part. But you will help your speed, because the reason people gas out is obviously because, well, there's a multitude of reasons, but one of the reasons they gas out is because their body can only utilize so much resource to power through the lift for a certain period of time. And dynamic resistance is going to shorten that time under tension, so that you can get through that sticking point of the concentric phase. But in a very simplistic sense, and this is just the purpose of dynamic resistance, this is not utilizing it in the setting and how it would be done in a periodization for specific athletes. It's just generally what dynamic resistance is, specifically banded resistance. Chains have a different feature, same with weight releases. So really speaking more to just dynamic resistance. So I hope that I taught you something, or that you learned something, or maybe you have more of an interest in it now. If there's something you'd like me to talk about more, please let me know. Either send me a message, leave a comment. Go check us out on Instagram. Go check us out on TikTok. You can see some of the examples of my dynamic work with bands. and maybe that will help kind of fill in some of the blanks here. Other than that, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It's really appreciated. It helps me keep doing this and being able to do this for everybody. Check us out on Instagram, check us out on TikTok. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.